To everybody who's watching, thank you all for tuning in for another episode of Entertainment Weekly's Songwriters Camp. Today we are joined by none other than the amazing singer-songwriter James Arthur. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you? How is your Wednesday going?
It's going sweet, man. Yeah, long, busy day, lots of interviews, but save the best till last.
And you're in the UK, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm at my home in the UK. Yeah,
What's the time in the UK right now?
it's 7:05 in the UK.
It's like 3 here. But we are here to discuss your career, the music that you've been working on, music that you've made, your process. So talk to me about Medicine. Like it's blowing up on streaming. It's done really amazing. It had 7 million streams in 2 weeks. Can you kind of walk me through the process of creating that song and how that came to be and all that goes into like creating a song like that?
Yeah, well, Medicine was it was a kind of a special song because it was the first song that I wrote during the lockdown. And I guess like it's the lyrics being, the lyrics speak for themselves. They're about it's kind of a love letter to the people that love you and lift you up in a dark time, and finding the things that make you happy and fulfill you when things aren't going so well. And I think this whole pandemic, this whole lockdown, the world being at a standstill, kind of forced us all to look inwards and reflect and appreciate the people that, like I said, lift us up and get us through those dark times. And yeah, it was a song I wrote back in the summer, and again, it kicked off the whole album. And usually, when you first song that you write, after not writing music for a while, you're kind of blowing the cobwebs out, and it's not very good. Usually, you just throw that one away. But this song just stuck around right up until like February of this year, and we were just like, maybe this is the song and it's the right time. We're coming into spring, people are feeling more positive. It's got a hopeful message, and yeah, it felt like the right time for Medicine.
And how long did it take you to write that song? Like was it hours, or did it come very quickly?
Yeah, it was kind of just in a couple of hours. Like I remember having the kind of rhyme scheme like da 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 da, my adrenaline, da 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 da, and then like what rhymes with adrenaline, and then as soon as Medicine popped, it was like, okay, this is the concept, this is what we're gonna do, and everything kind of fell into place after that, and it came together really quickly. I wrote this song with some of my favorite producers, Red Triangle, and the guy, a guy called Yami Bell, who wrote the Tiesto song, The Business, that tune, The Business. Yeah, and we just like, I think because we hadn't been working for so long, we'd all had this like built up creative energy. It just exploded in the room that day.
And so when you are working on songs like for this song example for Medicine, are you writing pen to paper? Are you going into your notes app on your phone and writing? Are you singing the melody into your voice memo app? How does that work for you?
It's usually I'm kind of like, I think the melody is so important, and like, once we put some chords down, or we make the beat, I like to spitball melodies for a long time until something really sticks to the wall, and something feels good and feels hooky. And then yeah, it's usually just getting on the phone and just sort of, yeah, just smashing down some lyrics in the notes on my phone.
And so you mentioned that was written during the first session that you had done during lockdown. So lockdown
Yeah.
was in February. So how when you were at home, were you not writing? Were you not making music, or what was that? I guess the gap in the process.
Yeah, the first couple of months of the lockdown, I was just honestly just playing FIFA and eating potato chips. As you guys would call
As you,
it, as you should, yeah. And just like feeling the same as everyone else, just that health anxiety, just like hold, you know what I mean? Just kind of, I will always like voice note melody ideas, or get the guitar out and jam some stuff out. But this was the first real session, and it was kind of the middle part of last summer. So when in the UK, when the lockdown restrictions eased a little bit and we could do socially distanced sessions, but yeah, there was quite a few months there where I just kind of sat back, did a lot of reflecting and processing. I personally started the year with some health issues. I needed a break. I was exhausted. I didn't want to tour for a little while. So the enforced break was kind of a blessing for me because I could just focus on myself. And yeah, this bunch of music ended up being quite personal in the end.
So after you wrote Medicine, did everything else for the new album just start to like kind of come, or was there another gap or break in between in the process?
No, it was a super intense, like it just all started flowing. It started flowing out of me, and it was literally the whole album was written in just over 2 months. It was like a session every day of the week. It was a song a day. We ended up with I don't know, like close to 70, 80 songs. It was a super intensive like period. And I did it all from my home. I built a studio in the house, which was just the best decision I've ever made because, you know, anyone who writes music or is involved in music or anyone who's creative at all knows that you have to be yourself vulnerable in order to make something that will move people.
Mm-hmm.
And being in my own safe space, my own sanctuary, if you like,
Mm-hmm.
was allowed me to just be proper, like honest. And yeah, it flit. Honestly, there was no, you know, normally you hit little roadblocks or you hit little you know, you get that little bit of writer's block, but it just never happened on this record. So
Mm.
it's a blessing.
And so while you were in that process of writing these songs, did you know you were making the album, or was it just like, hey, I'm back in the studio, I'm going to make things, and we'll figure everything else out
Yeah,
whenever?
it started out with let's just see what happens because like it was a case of who's prepared to make music right now. Like it was really friends that I've worked with for a long time that were like, yeah, we'll go to James's house and we'll write some songs. But like a lot of people didn't want to do it. Understandably, they didn't want to even risk a socially distant session. So it was just kind of like get in a room, guys, see what happens, like see how you feel. And then yeah, those particular guys became a huge part of this record, and we just wrote tons of songs together. And yeah, we knew after a couple of days, like, oh, we're making a thing here, we're making a project, and it became this kind of hybrid of rock and trap music and hip hop and pop. It was clear what we were doing.
Did you? Cause I have friends who make music, and they had kind of talked to me about how they had done Zoom like sessions and things like that. Was that ever an option for you, or did you only want to meet with people in the studio at your place and make things?
Yeah, I did one or two Zoom sessions. Like it's not for me personally. Like I think the writing process, if you're going to collaborate with people, I love to write on my own mainly. I think you know, a lot of the ideas, like I'll bring them into the session. I'll already have the core of an idea, and then I'll bounce them off producers or whoever else. But yeah, the Zoom thing, like, yeah, some amazing things came from one or two of those sessions. But yeah, I think it should be an interactive thing. Like again, if you're going to make it a song that's going to move people, I think it almost has to be like a therapy session in the room with people
Mm-hmm.
just being super honest and open.
Yeah. Outside of how this upcoming record was made, how different is this new record than anything else that you've ever made? You know, what's the biggest difference, if anything?
Yeah, so like you know, I think the common thread and the distinctive thing about me as an artist that people will recognize, and that I'm lucky enough to have. I think the reason I'm lucky enough to have such an amazing fan base is you know, the storytelling,
Mm-hmm.
my voice or whatever, you know, like that's the common thread. Is you'll always get that honest storytelling, songwriting from me, the honest lyrics. I'll always go to the dark places, but this is different in the way that it's dressed. It's dressed in a cooler way, like you get to kind of sing the songwriter first verse, and then on the second verse, I'm approaching it like as though I was Travis Scott or something. Like I'm like, if I was the feature on this record, if I was Travis Scott, if I was Post Malone, if I was Kid Leroy, whoever you want to, MGK,
Yeah.
how would, you know what I mean? And like it always switches up in the second verse. You hear Medicine, you get that. You always said we should move to LA, that kind of like rappy kind of thing. That's the theme of this album. It's kind of like rock and rap, and then you get the pop. the pop elements that will always be there, I suppose.
Was there any apprehension to, I guess, changing things up stylistically? Because obviously, like, your fans like you, they love you a lot, and they have come to know your music a certain kind of way, and you're switching things up. Was
Yeah.
there any tension or fear that things wouldn't be received as well with this new kind of direction stylistically?
Yeah, you know, there's obviously a fear, and like, yeah, you're right that in terms of, like, I suppose the kind of fans that love the acoustic ballad type stuff from me, or like the stuff that you would hear on the radio. You know, this is not going to be for everyone, but I felt with the fourth album, this is a style of music that is in my roots. Like, I used to be in rock bands, and I used to be in hip hop rock band, like hybrid kind of hip hop rock bands and stuff. And anyone who's ever been to my shows, like, you basically come into a rock show. Like, we always make everything heavier with the guitars and everything. There's Yami there, who I wrote Medicine with. He's in the comments. Big love to him. He's a legend. He was a huge part of this album. But yeah, like, anyone who's ever been to my shows and has you know, has seen me, like, they'll be used to hearing that rock sound, but it hasn't made it into my singles so much. Like, but yeah, being on the fourth album, earning my stripes a little bit. I'm stepping out there with a bit of a new sound, and I'm happy to do it. It's time to kind of take that gamble, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
So we've been, in lockdown for the past year or so, and you haven't been able to tour or do anything like that. How have you managed to stay connected with your fans? What kind of things have you been doing to make sure that your fans who, like, are in these comments going crazy are able to stay connected with you in the midst of this entire, thing?
Yeah, one of the things is like, I play a lot of FIFA. I played a lot of video games during this lockdown, and I started to just stream it, and on Twitch, and that's been a good way to. I mean, they'll hang out with me for 4 or 5 hours, like, on a night sometimes. They get to see the best and worst of me. You know, I'm having banter with my boys. You know, we waffle, like, it's just a bunch of boys playing FIFA, and that's been a cool way to interact with them. Doing lives like this has been a good way to do it. But yeah, that's sort of the way that I see it making sense moving forward, is like streaming. You know, like a mixture of things I love to do, like playing video games or reacting to videos or whatever, and then talking to the fans that way as well, has been a cool way to do it.
Mm-hmm. So you won the X Factor, like, I believe it was 8 years ago. So much time has gone by. You've had so much success since then. Is there anything that you would tell you then that you think you needed to know, but just no one had told you?
Sorry, can you say that again? It cut out.
Any advice that you would give, you from 8 years ago that you think, you needed to know right after the X Factor that could have made, easier, or just, like, being an artist a little bit easier?
Yeah, I think my advice to my former self would be more on the tip of, like, just my mindset and the way that I felt, and my levels of insecurity, how much I cared about what people thought about me. You know, I would be reading comments and, like, feeding the negativity, and that was a big mistake for me early on in my career. It really set me back, and yeah, it held me back. You know, as you get older and you get thicker skin, and I've been in this game for nearly 10 years now, and you kind of learn to not care so much what people think. But yeah, I guess I wish that time that I'd been a bit more secure in myself. But I went into that whole process with a lot of baggage, I think. Maybe some childhood trauma or something that, like, I carried with me, and obviously, like, I've done a lot of work since then, and yeah, in terms of an artist, I've always known what I wanted to be, and who I was. I knew that I would have to earn my stripes, and I would have to maybe make some compromises along the way. And I think I've made decisions that have allowed me to stay around, and I'm happy with some of those decisions. Do I cringe at some of the things I've done, or like some of the songs I've put out? Yeah, 100%. But it's got me to this point now where I'm only putting out music that I personally absolutely adore and love.
Absolutely. Let's look at some of the questions that we're receiving. Okay. Let's see. Um, I'm looking.
Love you. What I wanted to say, I really like the hair. I like
Oh,
the.
thank you.
Oh.
I'm trying to see. Oh, so the Electra Cute said, "What business advice would you give to new artists?"
Business advice. I don't know whether this one's for me. I'm not the. I don't think I'm the. Maybe I am a good businessman now. Like I said, like I made decisions that maybe I wasn't 100% behind, but kept me moving forward in my career. But I think you've just like. I think you see if you step back and look at the landscape of the music industry and the artists that are really at the top of their game, there's an authenticity there probably that they're kind of true to themselves and you believe them. So I would just say make sure that you know what your brand is, maybe, and like really stick to your guns on that.
See another question. Uh,
Someone said I'm an influencer.
uh, someone
Xbox.
asked me to Norway one day.
Am I going to come to Norway? Yeah, of course. I've been to Norway a couple of times, but yeah, I definitely would go back, 100%. These comments are cracking me up.
Yeah. Someone asked Billy Bay. I don't know what that says. Said James, what's your favorite song?
My favorite song in general, on one of my favorite of my songs. My favorite song like full stop is probably. Oh man, that is a hard question.
How about top five favorite songs? I think that might be a little bit easier.
Top 5 favorite songs. Oh wow, I mean there's so many. I mean, I have a couple of like ones that are kind of guilty pleasures. Like I Thought I Died and Gone to Heaven by Bryan Adams. My dad used to play like a lot of like rock, like classic rock growing up. And there's a song by a band called Thunder called When Love Walked In. I don't know if you're familiar with that song.
No.
Bad Company is one of my favorite songs by a band called Bad Company. Probably what Eminem, the way Lose Yourself or The Way I Am or something. An Eminem song would be in there. A Jay-Z, probably something from Watch the Throne. That's probably one of my favorite albums of all time. God, this is a tough one. Maybe that's maybe what would it be? What would it be? Oh, Let's Get It On by Marvin Gaye. Yeah, maybe that'll be
Classic. Emily Riley 20 said, "Hey James, what's your favorite thing about touring?"
Oh, Nirvana, yeah, Heart Box by Nirvana. That's probably my favorite song. What's the best thing about touring? Was that? Sorry, best thing about touring is just that when you hit the stage, that energy, that kind of like just the energy that hits you when you walk on the stage and you play that first note. The crowd is it's just giving you that energy. There's nothing like it. It's like no drug you could ever take, probably.
The question I just saw. Where did it go? Give me 1 second. Oh, someone said Mirabella 13 said, "What would you be doing if you were not a singer songwriter?"
Oh God, yeah. I never know the answer to this question. It's a really good question, but I don't know. I don't know where the I would be, to be honest. What would I be doing? I don't know, man. I tried all the like office jobs in the call centers, and it just never. I always got fired for being late or for not showing up or whatever. I don't know. I think I would always be doing something that involved making music. I think that's a boring answer, but yeah.
No. Ooh, it's all good. Let me see what else we got.
Professional footballer would have been my other dream, sure. Yeah, that
Uh,
would have been my dream. Or
a lot of
professional.
a lot of fans are asking if you can sing or want to sing. It's entirely up to you uh, if you want to or not.
If I, was it? Well, I'm not actually set up for it at this moment in time. If I'd have known that that would have been something that could, I don't know, would have. But that's why I was trying to sign into my laptop because,
Oh yeah, so it could be easier to
yeah.
do all this. Let's see. I guess someone asked about stage fright. If you've ever had stage fright and how you, I guess, work through that in the midst of being an artist.
Yeah, there's always an element of stage fright there. I think if you're someone that doesn't feel any nerves before going out on stage, then you're not human. um, and I think that they're good. It's good to have nerves. I get them the most would be when I'm doing like a live TV performance because there's a lot of like a lot of variables there, a lot of moving parts. When you're performing on TV, you not only have you got the crowd in the room, you know that it's being broadcast maybe to millions of people. The sound is always whack on those TV performances. Your ears might go wrong. It's just always a bit stressful. That it's like it's nothing like a proper live gig. You don't have control over how it sounds and things like that. So yeah, I get it really, really bad before, like say going back on the X Factor or going on American Idol or whatever. Like I really feel it then, big time.
Is there like a TV performance that you are super, super proud of still to this day?
Not really, no. I don't think I've ever nailed a TV performance, to be honest.
I'm
I
sure
always,
you have.
I always
Sure.
mess. The best TV performances I did when I was actually a contestant on the X Factor, probably. But since then, I've bottled it every time.
Nah, I refuse. I refuse to believe that. Let's see. Let's see if we get like two more questions. I'm gonna let you go. Let's see. Oh, Patrick S25 said, "What rituals do you have before going on stage?"
I do a lot of like. I'm a bit weird before I go on stage. I like I like do a lot of shadow boxing and things like that. I get myself pumped up as though I'm going for a fight, or I'll be like beating the chest and doing the shadow boxing and trying to get that like nervous energy out of my body, like stretching and things like that. Yeah, because there's nothing worse than going out there stiff and full of
Yeah.
tension. Yeah, so that's really all I do. I do vocal warm ups, obviously. Sometimes, well, yeah, sometimes I do vocal warm ups. I forget a lot of the time.
All right. Last question that I have is there anything you can tell us about the album that you haven't told us? Anything that we can hold on to that we can expect? Any little like exclusive whatever? Because the fans are excited and can't wait to finally have another project, in their ears and in their hands soon.
Well, here's something that might be quite interesting. So like a lot of people during the lockdown, I think they thought about their lives and their future,
Mm-hmm.
and I was no different to that. And this one day, I had this idea that I like. What if I was to have kids? Like it just kind of came into my head. Like I'm like, oh man, what if I was a dad? And then I started to think about all of the like dumb shit that I've done over the years, and like some of the things that the newspapers have written about me, or some of the immature things I've said, and like it started to make me like it freaked me out thinking about like my child growing up and seeing that sort of thing, and I decided that I was going to write this song to my unborn child. I haven't got a child on the way or anything, guys, so I'm not saying like I have anyone's pregnant or anything,
Mm-hmm.
but I decided that my daughter if I had a daughter, she was going to be called Emily, and wrote this song called Emily, or Dear Emily, which is basically like this letter to my unborn child to say like, look, your dad was a bit of a rolling stone, was a bit of an idiot. His soul was empty at times, and he made mistakes, but like I will love you to death. I will be there for you till the very end, and it's probably the song that I'm most excited for people to hear. So that's a bit of an exclusive for you. Yeah. There's a song called Dear Emily on the album that like I'm excited for people to hear.
I'm excited to hear that. I'm excited for this new project. I'm excited to hear all the stuff that you got working on. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. Thank you to all the fans who sent questions in. I can't wait for the album. Thank you again. I can't wait to hear dear Emily. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
Much success, much greatness to everything you have going on.
Thank you, man. This has been a great interview. Thank you you've got a great energy. Thanks for having me on, bro.
Oh, no problem. Look forward to speaking again. All right. Peace out, y'all. Bye.
Appreciate it.